This is KTN Business Today. My name is Peter Akaba with, the news that is making business headlines here in Kenya and indeed right across the region and right across the world. Again, karibu sana and thank you for joining us. Well, on this show, we have an action-packed show for you, of course, including the fact that the nurses' strike seems to be coming apart at the seams. What exactly is the perspective from that? We'll be bringing an update from that continually unfolding story. Of course, the fact that the Trade Permanent Secretary Chris Kipto is in Uasin Gishu County. He is at this very moment addressing a forum at the Siriko Hotel. Will be crossing there live later on in the show to be able to bring you an update of that conversation. Exactly what is he talking about? Well, stay with us here for that. Of course, later on in the show, we'll be discussing matters lapsed, and a special guest here with us today. Well, of course, the man himself, Sylvester Kasuku, the man charged with driving the Lapsed Corridor Project, CEO, indeed Director General of the Lapsed Corridor Project himself, here in studio to be able to give us the latest in regards to the development of that project. What has been the update? Where exactly are they with that conversation? Of course, as usual, we are interactive and we're coming at you from, of course, the internet. And we're asking you to get back to us and talk to us about our Twitter poll question today. And we are asking, well, do you think that the Lapsed Corridor project is still a viable project for the Kenyan government and indeed all other Kenyans? Again, is the Lapsed Corridor project still a viable project for the Kenyan government? Well, reach out to me directly on @Peter Akaba. You can use the hashtag Business Today. Of course, you can use the Twitter handle @KTN News, and we'll continue to sample that conversation as the show does continue. Well, as mentioned before, we start off with the nurses' strike, and the nurses are now growing impatient with the government over the lack of action on the collective bargaining agreement. This comes as the ongoing nurses' strike enters its 12th day. And as this unfolds, it is emerging that there is a rift between two different factions of officials in the nurses' union. Our reporter Timothy Eterno has been covering those developments for us. Well, those pictures there of events earlier today, of course, a press conference had been called by the nurses union with the chairman ostensibly to call off, the nurses strike, and a different faction stormed into that venue and, of course, disrupted what was going on, maybe to try and stop him from, of course, calling the strike off. And that story continues to unfold, and we bring you a different perspective as the day continues. Now, away from that, in Mombasa, gubernatorial candidate on a vibrant Democratic Party VDP ticket, Hezron Awiti Bolo, has expressed confidence in winning during the August 8th general election. Now, speaking in Mombasa, Awiti, who is the current Nyali Member of Parliament, expounded on some of his plans if elected as the Mombasa governor. Well, to some technology and indeed social good story now, and Microsoft has spotlighted 21 East Africa entrepreneurs who will receive Insiders for Good fellowships. Now, launched in partnership with Growth for Africa, the fellowships aim to support promising entrepreneurs in turning their extraordinary social business ideas into reality. This is the second year that the Insiders for Good program will be held. Last year, Microsoft awarded Insider for Good fellowships to some 25 entrepreneurs in Nigeria. The East Africa Fellows represent a diverse cohort from Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda.
I think Microsoft has been playing a part in this development stage and growing entrepreneurs and trying to bring all sorts of initiatives to life.
Indeed, doing social good there through Well, technology. Now moving on, the Postal Corporation of Kenya is set to lose nearly half of its staff in a radical staff rationalization program that is part of a restructuring exercise that is meant to ensure that the parastatal becomes more competitive. Now the move will see over 1,280 staff sacked to reduce operational costs. Now, according to the Postmaster General David Kagwe, at least 40% of the staff at Posta are over 55 years of age, and this will form a bulk of the imminent staff rationalization program. The proposal to lay off staff are contained in a task force report compiled over the last 1 year with input from staff and sector stakeholders. Working at the Postal Corporation of Kenya are set to be sacked in a bid to make the government-run parastatal more competitive.
Thank you. They have to be let. Did you hear? A consultant change manager should develop a staff rationalization plan, because I think you all know that PCK is bloated. The workforce is too high, much more than they need or they can manage. But you know, with today's politics, if you can't just ask someone to go home. So a way needs to be found.
40% of the PCK's workforce is above 55 years old.
55.
I am one of the youngest. So about 20% are going to retire in the next 1 year or so. So eventually, we would like to re-energize the situation so that in courier business, you should be having an average age of 25. Because you're carrying things, you're moving things from here and there, you're working overnight and all that stuff. So you need a younger generation.
The PCK has been introducing for the likes of M-Post. A lot of these staff now are being redeployed to help in the recruitment of clients to now open up the virtual postal addresses. And the plans are obviously underway should funds then be available someday in the future because a number of these staff are willing to go. But of course, PCK needs to establish financials that will be able to support any staff rationalization. So at the moment, it's not an area of focus, as a lot of those are being redeployed.
Now, the Judiciary is set to build a new 400 million shilling strong court in Meru Town, which will house the High Court and a Court of Appeal registry. The move follows the donation of a 2.5-acre piece of land by the county government of Meru.
The building will house 9 courtrooms and 11 to 14 chambers for judges and magistrates. Other facilities include offices for Director of Public Prosecution, Probation and other National Council for administration of justice agencies. Speaking during the handing over of the land by Governor Peter Munya, Chief Justice David Maraga said the Judiciary has already budgeted for the project and construction will start immediately. The new building will help to decongest the current courthouse.
It's part of what we are seeing into areas that are marginalized. Marginalization is also when services are kept very far away and you have to spend money to travel to access justice.
The Meru courts, in spite of the huge volume of work that we are handling there, the space is very, very, very limited.
Governor Peter Munya has pledged to donate more land in Maua, where the Judiciary intends to build a new court with provision for a High Court registry.
We've given it to the Judiciary, but you have given it to the people of Meru and the surrounding areas because they are the greatest beneficiaries of this donation.
Chief Justice Maraga noted that digitization of court records is one of his priorities under the Sustaining Judiciary Transformation Agenda. Staff members were urged to be particularly sensitive and responsive to the unique needs of vulnerable clients, adding that there was a need to help the public understand the work and processes of the judiciary. On Wednesday, the Chief Justice laid the foundation stone for the construction of a 379 million shillings High Court in Isiolo, expected to be completed by October next year. Ashley Mazuri, KTN News.
Well, from legal matters now to agriculture, and Kenya will champion the adoption of data-driven agriculture in Africa in an effort to improve the lot of the African farmer and ensure better returns from that sector. The move is expected to translate into not just better livelihoods for sector stakeholders, but also improve food security across the world. This comes as Kenya plays host to the Ministerial Conference on Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition here in Nairobi. Here at the Ministerial Conference on Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition, and we're now joined by the CS for Agriculture, Willie Bett. He is here to talk to us about what was happening here today, to give us details on what exactly open data can do for the agriculture sector here in Kenya. Thank you very much, sir, for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you. We are very excited to be a country which has pioneered the open data ministerial conference on the Global South. What is happening today is we have brought together the experts, the academia, the youth of this region, the Global South, to discuss about data in agriculture. For a very long time, we have been using data which may not be accurate. In some instances, is not enough. In some instances, is not timely. And therefore, it has then become very critical that we share information. Data in most countries are sitting in various places. And even the format which it is sitting may not be in a manner which can be consumed so easily by the intended people who are the farmers, decision makers, and even the traders. And therefore, this forum is a culmination of a meeting we had in New York, of which Kenya accepted to champion the Global Data Initiative on agriculture and nutrition. And so we accepted to host the first conference, which involves the ministers of the Global South, so that we can sensitize governments that they need to build capacities in their ministries of agriculture to acquire and get accurate, timely information which would aid in data collection, and it can help in decision making and also in projections.
Yes, and just to interrupt you right there, why is data so important? What difference will it be able to make for the stakeholders, either governments, consumers, or even people along the value chain in agriculture?
When you look at data, evidence-based decision-making is a critical component of any decision-making. Data on weather is very critical because it will inform farmers when to start planting and when to start weeding, when to start doing agricultural activities. To the extent that knowing that the weather patterns have shifted, traditionally a farmer of maize could believe that on the 15th of March, that is the time they're supposed to plant. But with lack of climate data or meteorology information, that would be the only time that farmer would plant. But knowing that seasons have started shifting, that farmer will plant on the 15th of March and lose the entire crop. And therefore, this information is very critical to inform agronomy, to inform varieties which are good for certain areas, and also to inform projections as in, if you are a net importer of a certain crop, and there is information that your source market has an issue because of the projections based on data, then you would start making certain decisions on how you are going to get your imports. So data in agriculture is very critical, and it is time we share it, because many countries are sitting on various information which would benefit other countries. Even within the same country, various agencies are sitting on data which would be put together in a consumable form, and it could help in the area of agriculture. Look at meteorology, statistics unit, even NGOs, those who do a lot of work with the rural areas. They are having some information which, if it is put together and put in a form which can be used, would help in making very critical decisions in the agricultural sector.
Yes. There are modern technological advances in bringing things like insurance to farmers and things like that, which can make use of this data. Do you think we're at a place where we can begin to create farmer resilience through tools such as this?
Very critical. The risking of agriculture would be based on data. Insurance companies would be willing to insure if they have information. If they know their payout is based on accurate weather information. And if that happens, and if agriculture attracts insurers, then agriculture will attract financing. Because financiers will only shy away from agriculture if they consider the sector as risk. And if the risk has been taken care of by insurance, of which insurance only accepts to do that if they have accurate data, then you would find a lot of investment in the sector.
My final question is the fact that the projected average age of a Kenyan farmer is 65 and north. The youth have not been getting into agriculture as much as we'd like to. Do you think initiatives such as this will enable the youth start to come in because they can see that agriculture now has mechanization, has value addition, and initiatives which will involve them at a more than basic level? Correct.
The only way to attract the youth into this space of getting involved in agriculture is if information is available. In a touch of a button or through the mobile application, if a youth accesses all the necessary information, then he will have the motivation to enter into the agricultural field. And we would be seeing more youth now coming into this space and doing even agribusiness, especially information on market, information of inputs, information. So the young man would do his math. And he would realize, if I engage in this enterprise in the agricultural sector, I would make money because the information is available. So data is critical.
Okay, indeed. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, sir.
Thank you.
Well, indeed, that was an earlier conversation there between myself and the CS for Agriculture, Willie Bett, indeed over the applications that data can render to agriculture and nutrition. Of course, that conversation was on the sidelines of the global ministerial conference on global open data on agriculture and nutrition that has happened here in Nairobi, bringing together ministers from the entire global south. Now, moving on, Pwani University in Kilifi County has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Watamu Marine Association, WMA, that is a community environmental non-governmental organization, to promote marine research and training. The MOU was signed at the EcoWorld Center in Dabaso in Kilifi North and was witnessed by Professor Mulewa, who is the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies at Pwani University, and Dr. Bernard Fulanda, who is the program leader for marine science and oceanography at that same university. Well, Justin Kitsao of the WMA signed on behalf of the association.
Students around here, such that they know we have a university working with us, and the children from primary to secondary can actually be sure we are moving from this stage to the next stage, which is a university where we are going to do science. On top of that, we've seen a lot of initiatives by Watamu Marine Association. For example, we have the gas, we have the charcoal system, we have the recycling system, and we are sure if we come and do research in these areas, there is always a way in which science comes in to improve on what is existing.
This is very important because it will capacitate or give our community that know-how, the knowledge that we learn from research and the marine sciences that will be shared in our community, and it will help us in conservation.
Well, on that note, we want to proceed on a short commercial break, but to remind you, on the other side of that break, a conversation around the Lapset Corridor Development Project. What exactly has been, well, the progress on that front? What has happened since inception? Where is it going? And indeed, just to give an update on that, here in studio with us, of course, after the break, is Sylvester Kasuku, the man in charge of driving that agenda, CEO and Director General of the Lapset Development Corridor Project. So do stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. My name is Peter Wakam.
Business Today, in association with Telkom.
Celebrating our heritage, we are stepping into a bold new future.
Join us. Telkom, moving with you.